भद्रं कर्णेभिः शृणुयाम देवाः भद्रं पश्येमाक्षभिर्यजत्राः स्थिरैरङ्गैस्तुष्टुवागुंसस्तनूभिः व्यशेम देवहितं यदायुः स्वस्ति न इन्द्रो वृद्धश्रवाः स्वस्ति नः पूषा विश्ववेदाः स्वस्ति नस्तार्क्ष्यो अरिष्टनेमिः स्वस्ति नो बृहस्पतिर्दधातु। ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः। हरिः ॐ।
Dear friends, we have started our study on the Mundaka Upanishad, the third and the last Mundaka. And as you know, each Mundaka is divided into two sections. Call it sections, call it chapter, call it anyway. Tritiya Mundaka, Prathama Khanda and Ditya Khanda. Now we have just started the third Mundaka, and it starts with a beautiful example. The first shloka is an example. Second shloka is an instruction hidden in the example. And the third shloka is what happens when you successfully pursue the wisdom of the example and you reach a proper goal, your goal of life, one with God. What happens to you and how do you experience that? It is almost in the domain of mystery, but the teacher tries to make it as commonsensical as possible. So today, I will quickly remind you about the example. What does it exemplify? How to translate the wisdom of the example in our lives, and when we do so, what happens to us? These are the three shlokas which I would like to cover today. Let me quickly read the first shloka. Dva suparna sujuja sakhaya samanam vriksham parisasya jate tayor anna pippalam sadhu atvi anasnananno avichakashiti. Two birds of the same plumage, in all respects they are the same. What is that? The divine, what is within me, and what I am today. They reside in the same tree, that is this body, and through this body interacting with the world. Two birds of same plumage, of same origin, absolute the same. They reside in this tree of ours. The tree is this body-mind complex. Of the two, one at a lower level where there are many fruits and flowers and leaf buds and fruit buds, that one, highly excited, keeps on picking at everything. Whatever he finds around him, he keeps on picking at it. And while picking, immediately he makes faces. That is, if it is very luscious, very tasty, very juicy, very acceptable, his face beams with joy. And that which is bitter, he makes a grimace, he makes a face. That is how the bird at the lower level of existence is picking at all the fruits around him and by way of reaction making faces. A very clean example. The other bird who is in the tree, resides in the tree, but he is right up on the top, swinging in the twig with the breeze, enjoying himself, expressing his joy by whistling and chirping, and enjoying the panorama of the whole world through this body where it also resides. This is it. They are the same. What is the difference? One is absolutely unattached, detached. He has no more any desire or intention of picking at fruits. He is at the topmost branch, swinging in the air and seeing the panorama of this cosmos, and he is enjoying it. And the other one, down below, where fruits and flowers and leaves are full, he, out of great excitement, want to experience what is it, he keeps on picking at various fruits. And thereby, as usual, he picks it, he experiences it, and either it is bitter, or it is sour, or it is sweet, and he makes faces according to his experience. He reacts according to his own acts and deeds. This is the example. A highlight is, there's only one bird in you. That bird, when it is down below, he is a victim of his own karmas, of his own actions. And that same bird, when he climbs up and having had his heart full, tired of this unending farce, he leaves all that behind and he climbs up to enjoy the swing of the breeze on a twig and the whole panorama. The same bird in two different places, in the same tree, in this body-mind complex. This is the example, the first shloka. The second shloka is exemplification. He is now drawing your attention how to understand this example. He says, Samane brikshe purusha nimagnaha. In the same tree, the Lord God of the universe, who is my true original nature, who resides in me, whom I, as a stupid ass, separate myself from him, and I create an ego out of a sense of separateness. He is untouched because of my ignorance, because of my misconception, misunderstanding, mistaken identity. I identify myself with that bird which is at a lower level and who is pecking at fruits and making faces. He is pecking at fruits means creating karma and suffering the results of those karmas in this body. Somane brikshe, in the same tree, Purusha, he who resides in this Puri, Purishayanat Purnatvad Ba Purusha. This is the definition of Purusha. Purishayanat, he who resides in this city, and he who is absolute, all extensive, beyond space, beyond time, beyond, that is eternal and infinite, therefore immutable and absolute. He makes himself a stupid ass of himself. He makes a stupid ass of himself by interacting with the world, by his own karma, and suffering the results of the karma. Now, that very bird, Jiva Atma, this lower self, let us say the lower self and the higher self. Now, this lower self, out of experience, and he is wise enough to interpret his experiences, he says, I am tired of this unending farce. This idea of Swami Vivekananda's poem is from the Upanishads. With Viveka and Vairagya, discrimination and renunciation, he is tired of this unending farce. So he tries to live in this world and perform his duties of life, because no human being is without a concept of sense of duty. Whether it is right or wrong, whether it is better or bad, whether it is fair or foul, is immaterial, but a sense of duty holds on a human being. With that sense of duty, he tries to perform without any expectation. He doesn't create any karma, and he tries to free himself. He does it himself by his effort, and by the grace of God, he may come across somebody who teaches him how to advance. How? Viveka, Vairagya, Sama, Dama, Uparati, Titiksha, Shraddha, Samadhan, Mumukshat. Shraddha, Mumukshatta, Samadhan. 9. He teaches him and he is prepared to listen because he is absolutely satiated with this worldly experiences. So he is now receptive, assimilative, absorbent. And at that point of time, by God's grace, somebody teaches him. Jushtam yogi marga sevitam. Literal. That is, what the yogis, that is, who are trying to develop an unbreakable link between his lower nature and his higher nature by these 9 disciplines. And you do that. Samane brikshe purusha nimagna. that same one, he is in this body. Anishaya sochati mujchamana. He has forgotten his true original nature. Anisha, not divine. He has forgotten his divine nature. Because of that forgetfulness caused by ignorance, misunderstanding, misconception, whatever you call it, he becomes a victim of pleasure and pain, ecstasy and agony. And he is absolutely buffeted, flattened out, exhausted. Mujchamana. He is totally exhausted. That is what a worldly man's life is compared with the life of a realized soul. Way of life and living, attitude of a realized soul, and attitude of a worldly man. The contrast. But that worldly man, Jushtam Yada, Tada and Yada, as and when, then and therefore. Yada means as and when. Tada means the subsequent situation. Then and therefore. Tada Jushtam Annam Isham Asya Mahimanam. Mahima, the magnificence, the majesty, the regality of his own or her own true original nature. How? Yogi jana sevitam jushtam margam upagamyati. Those 9 disciplines, 8 disciplines, the end is samadhan or samadhi. Viveka, vairagya, sama, dhamma, uparati, titiksha, shraddha, mumukshutta, samadha. 9 disciplines. When he practices those and achieves those, he is vita shoka. The word misery, vita shoka, means you know what? Today we are miserable. Pardon me. Today we are miserable. Why? We experience misery, unhappiness, agony, dissatisfaction, anger, annoyance, wrath. We experience. And we are in result unhappy. Now this very man, this very human, man or woman, this very man, this very human, raises level of awareness such an height. The other bird who is on the top, his true original nature. Vita shoka. He has no concept left about misery. Not only he does not feel miserable, the concept of misery has totally disappeared. I come and tell him, I am miserable. He looks at you and says, what are you speaking? What language are you using? What is misery? It doesn't draw a line in my brain. It doesn't create any reaction. The sound has a reaction. Vita shoka means he goes beyond the concept of agony, misery, unhappiness, sadness. He doesn't know. but out of sheer compassion, he brings himself down to your level to appreciate your agony and help you out of it. That is it. That is why in Buddhist philosophy, the realized souls, as an example, compared to dharma megha. Megha is cloud. What does a cloud do? Drops the rain, water from the skies to nourish the world. They are like cloud, but they don't pour water. They pour the concept of dharma, holding on to which you will reach that state. And in our Jivan Mukta definition, there's a beautiful Basantavat Loka Hitaya Charantaha Tvina Swayam Bhima Bhavar Navam Janananyana Hetunan Api Tarayantaha. What is the sign and symptom of realized soul? That look, they, after a rigorous withering winter, they come to this world like the life-giving spring. They are like the life-giving force, the spring in this universe. Shanto Mahantaha Nivasanti Santa. They are at peace with themselves. They have no attachment left. Therefore, the root cause of disturbance has disappeared. Shantaha. Moha antaha. Moha means confounded thinking. Confusion has totally ended. Shantaha, mohantaha, nivasanti santa. They do reside in this world. They don't live in the clouds. They do reside in this world of ours. Shanto mahantaha nivasanti santaha. Basantavat lokahitaya charantaha. They roam around in this world. How? By way of example, like a life-giving spring is appreciated by the world going through the weary, dreary winter, they bring new hope and light to the world. They also spread new hope and light to the world. Look at me. I was like you. I have made myself like this. Why can't you? This is a message that they spread. Basantavat loka hitaya charanta. Tvina swayam bhima bhavarnamam. They have totally swam across this ocean of life and death. They have gone on the other shore. But Janan Anyan Ahetunan Api Tarayanta. But having gone on the other shore, they extend their arms over the ocean. Whosoever wants to hold it, he brings him back to his shore. That is how a Jivanamukta Purusha has been described in our scriptures. That Jivanamukta Purusha is being described in a different manner. What is it, he says? It is your true original nature. What you think yourself to be is because of your ignorance of your true original nature. You have put a blanket around a screen around your vision. and you are with your limited vision, you identify yourself with this body-mind complex and all that follows. Once you are satiated, once you are deeply hurt by this world, you try to get out of it. And slowly, the desire to get out of it gets hold of you, and at that point of time, by God's grace, you may have somebody to help you with these 8 disciplines. And because of that feeling of hurt, that feeling of discretion, that feeling of discrimination, you are assimilative, you are absorbent, you are receptive. You listen. And when you listen, you perform. You absorb, you assimilate, and you translate those ideas into your life. And what is the end result? You see the Ishvara Mahimana, Ishvara Mahimna, you see the magnitude, the magnificence, the majesty of the divine. And you are totally away from the very concept of misery and happiness, sadness. This is what will happen to you. So, dears, the first shloka is an example. An example and information. That is the first shloka. The second shloka is trying to get the instruction out of the information. You are the divine. Never forget that. And make efforts to reach it. Not by running away, by living your life with a correction of your attitude with which you live in this world. Attitudinal correction. We live in the world with our own attitudes. That attitude has to be corrected according to the dictates and teachings of the scriptures. If you do so, you will get rid totally of the very concept of misery, agony, unhappy, sadness. This is what he says. How will it happen? Because you have identified yourself with that divine quality of yourself. The third shloka, which I told you I'll start on today, is another psychological explanation of what happens to you. As Sri Ramakrishna jokingly used to say, people used to come to Dakshineshwar just for the fun of it. Why? They have heard somewhere a Paramahamsa yogi sannyasi lives in Dakshineshwar. They have heard somewhere. A Paramahamsa, a yogi, a sannyasi. Oh, let's go and have a look, as if he's going to a zoo garden to see varieties of animals. So Sri Ramakrishna used to see through. What brings you here, dear? Oh, we are told you are a Paramahamsa, so we have come to see a Paramahamsa. How do I convince you, dears, that I am a Paramahamsa? Shall I grow 2 horns and a long tail on a human body? Something unusual, uncommon, unnatural? A Jivan Mukta Purusha is more normal than you or me because he has got rid of the prarabdha sanskaras. They are a baggage on me. They bind me down. They have got free of it. That's why they are said Jivana Mukta, Jivita Eva Mukta San. They are in this life, you and me, but they are realized souls. How does he reach that goal? The third shloka gives you suggestions. As because you know that experience is experienceable, but not describable. Brahma Uchishtahanna. You cannot utter it with your mouth. You can't spoil it by your saliva and tongue and your lips and your palate. It cannot be polluted by it. It remains unpolluted. It is not describable, but it is experienceable. But by tatastha lakshana, by suggestion, you are allowed to have a vague idea of what it is. And making that vague idea your object of meditation, the vagueness disappears and the idea becomes real. What is imagination today becomes a realization tomorrow. Jana sadhana tana siddhi. That is what Pahari Baba told Swamiji. So dear, the third shloka will be a little philosophical, little psychological and informative and instructive. Yada, as and when. Pasha, the experiencer, that is you. Pashyate, experiences that golden lustre. Jada pashyate rukma varnam. Rukma varnam is effulgence of shining gold or shining effulgence of gold. The most precious thing for a human. The preciousness of it is being mentioned and not readily available of it is being mentioned. It is not in your palms. You have to work hard for it. You have to sweat it out. You have to break your back for it. Tapasya. It starts with imagination. And when you are saturated totally, it becomes a realization. Hari Maharaj used to say, what is realization today? Swami Turiyananda used to say, what is realization? Imagination today is a realization tomorrow. This domesticated cat, when kicked out of home, it by force of nature becomes a wild cat. And we know in Australia, the dingo dogs. They were all domesticated dogs, now they are predators. This very mind of yours, which is subjected by egocentric activities, grows beyond and becomes one with that. What is that? I can't express it, but I can suggestively say it is as beautiful, as shiny, as glorious, as majestic as a shiny effulgence of shining gold. That is a suggestive word. Jada, as and when, the experiencer, Pashya, Pashyate, experiences, Rukma Varnam, the shine of the gold. Your awareness is compared with the gold. You are always aware, I am, I exist. Awareness and existence and Ananda are one, your true original nature. So, dears, yada, as and when, pasha, the experiencer, pashyate, experiences what? His true original nature. How is that original nature suggestively declined? The effulgence and shine of pure gold, shining polished gold. Awareness is compared with the shine and effulgence. Your awareness is compared with shine and effulgence. Jada pasha pashyate rukma varnam. How does he see? What's his experience? Can you play some words for me? Aditya varnam purusham brahmajodi. 3 words. Aditya varnam. As effulgent as a bright burning sun. Nothing beyond that from our point of view, experience. It is as shiny, as illuminative as everything. Sun has dark corners in the world, but your awareness, wherever it is goes, it picks up awareness. It is everywhere. Aditya varnam purusham. It is to be found within you, not elsewhere. And it is the cause of this whole universe. Brahmajodi is the cause of this concept of the cosmos. Aditya varnam purusham brahmajodi. These are the 2 sentences. The next, tada. He started with yada. As and when this happens, then and there, this will be your experience. Tada vidyan punya pape vidhuyaha. Tada, when you achieve that place, that situation, that psychological achievement, at that time, vidwan, the knower, punna pape vidhuyaha, he has been totally washed clean of all his prarabdha, and his sanchita karma is burnt away because he is maya mukta. Tatha vidwan punna pape vidhuyaha Vishesh rupena dhauta. That is vidhuya means no trace left. Absolutely 100% pure. Of what? His sanchita karma and his prarabdha karma. He is totally pure of that. Niranjanam paramam samyam upaiti. Upaiti grows slowly and slowly to that goal. So, it's instructive, it is illuminative, it is informative, it is descriptive, all 4 rolled into one. Now let us read it once again. Jada pashyate rukma varnam aditya varnam purusham, to be found within yourself, not high in the clouds. And what do you find? He is the cause of the whole universe. Beyond that, tada, when you achieve this, vidwan, the knower, the achiever, the experiencer, punna pape vidhuya, He is washed out of all his punya and papa, means his sanchita karma and prarabdha karma. Prarabdha karma will be there as long as body lives, but that prarabdha karma will have no hold on him like a burned piece of hemp rope. The rope is there, you can count the fibers and etc. You want to hold it and bind me down, as you and hold it, it becomes ashes. But on appearance it is there. You see the Jivan Mukta Purusha is calling for food, is wanting to go out here, wanting to do this and all that. You see all that. His prarabdha is making the body-mind do so. He is away of it. He is totally away of it, away from it. Tatha vidyan punna pape vidhuyaha niranjanam, without any taint, without any adulteration, without any dirt. Paramam samyam, sublime equanimity, serenity, sobriety. Sublime means nothing can disturb it. What to speak of disturbing it? Cannot touch it. What to speak of touching it? Nothing can reach him to disturb him. Paramam niranjanam paramam samyam upaiti, merges with that. This is how this first chapter of the third Mundaka starts, and we are left with about 17 or 16 shlokas, and all these remaining shlokas, excepting the last two, will be highly enjoyable, and all the four channels, educative, instructive, destructive, will be rolled into one and give it to you on a platter in each shloka for you to understand. Well, dear, we have completed the third shloka. The fourth shloka has a very, very wonderful idea hidden into it, which is very relevant to our organization. The last line of the shloka says, Esha Brahma Vidam Barishtaha. Of all these that I have spoken to you before, a person who has these qualities, he is the excellent, the supreme, the superlative of all Brahmavid Varan, Brahmavid Vara, Brahmavid Variyan, Brahmavid Varishta. And when Swamiji used the word Avatara Varishta, the whole intellectual society started hounding after him that you are unnecessarily, irresponsibly, inappropriately, you are calling your Guru as Avatara Varishta. Is he better than Ram? Is it better than Krishna? What do you think of yourself, young man? And Swamiji was hounded out by the so-called scholars of that time ago. Swamiji got this word and idea from this shloka. Here he says, Brahmavidam Varishta, of all the Brahmavits, all the Brahmavits, he is the super excellent. Brahmavid has again been classified. Brahmavid Vara, Brahmavid Varyana, Brahmavid Varishta. Avatara, Avatara Vara, Avatara Varyan, Avatara Varishta. We'll come to that next during our next discourse. Wait till the next class, dear. We'll start on the third and then migrate into the fourth. And I'll go very slow in this study, probably one shloka a day. Thank you, dears. Thank you ever so much.
Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Tat Sat Shri Ram